on Dartmoor, and it's probably in the title of the video too. And I've got my trusty Minolta 7000 Maxim with me with a roll of Truprint, and it's 24 exposures. This was apparently quite an unsung hero from the early 2000s from my research. I might be completely wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll be completely disagreeing with what is on here and it'll be on screen now. But I have shot a roll of this before because it actually came in the camera when I first purchased this at a car boot sale, and it came with a second roll. And I actually really enjoyed the colours because it is so expired. The colours have just gone a bit mental. They, as far as I remember, they came out kind of blue, very purpley yellow, quite a lot of teal in there as well. So I'm really interested to see how this goes, especially with how gorgeous Dartmoor is. That hopefully some of these shots will kind of look painting-esque. That's probably a bit of a reach, but I'm hoping so. I'm looking over there and I'm realising my camera is here, but I will be showing you some shots from over there in a minute. It is absolutely gorgeous around here. And this probably won't be the only Dartmoor spot that I shoot at. I'm hoping to go to a couple. I've got 24 exposures and there's a tour behind me, there's a couple over there, and there's not really too much else. If I can get a couple of shots of sheep, that would be nice, but I have only got a 50mm prime with me, so that kind of limits me in what I can shoot with and what I can shoot, because I can only get so close to Dartmoor wildlife and I don't want to scare them. So fingers crossed it goes well, and you'll be seeing the results, I'm assuming, fairly soon. I prefer the landscape image out of these two. It just feels more natural, as the shot itself is also landscape. The colours have come out beautifully, and I tried to expose for the highlights over the rolling hills, and I think it worked out perfectly. And the only thing that I would possibly have changed was to have maybe one or two pieces of actual subject matter throughout the image, but just as a standard landscape shot, I'm very happy with the result. Absolutely love these two images, and these are images that sometimes I do forget to take. Nothing too fancy, but rather the missing pieces shot, and I absolutely love the flower shot. Sometimes instead of going for the dramatic lighting, it's better to look for the colour contrast, and that has worked out perfectly for this flower shot. The purpley pinks really do contrast the bright green grass really, really well. I genuinely don't know how these two images came out so very different in the way that the colours have come through. They were shot with the same aperture, the same shutter speed, and probably about maybe 10 to 15 seconds apart as I just rotated the camera around. And I think I prefer the more pastel looking portrait shot of this tree. Yeah, I do like the landscape shot, but the pastel is very, very unique compared to the rest of the roller film, and it's a kind of palette that I want to play with going forward. And just the general composition and the isolation of the tree on the hill is just absolutely beautiful, and it's definitely a location that I'm going to go back to more often to photograph. So location 2, I'm hoping you can hear me, is much windier. New day, new t-shirt, shaved beard, but same roll of film. So I've got still the Minolta 7000 with the true colour in there. I really don't know when it was expired, I probably should find that out. But I've taken a few shots on the way. The car is quite far back that way, there we go. And yeah, it's a spot that I've come to before, something I've come to quite a lot actually. And it's some really interesting spots because as it being a quarry and it being on the moor, it's quite a nice mixture of water and greenery, and some industrial stuff too, which you might not find as interesting, but I do find it quite cool. And I do want to try and play with some slower shutter speed stuff today. and I'm actually walking up to the location now. There's some trees on the banks and it's quite windy, so if I can get a nice centre point on that tree, keep it all in focus, and then have some of the leaves and stuff moving around. I haven't really done it before on film, so I want to give it a go and hopefully it will turn out alright. So that is the tree I was just talking about behind me, and I've got a video of it before, but I've never actually taken pictures of it. It's quite unique considering the setting, and I think it's quite a cool shot. I might take one in landscape and portrait just to see what I can get, and fingers crossed it turns out well. I might try one as a normal shutter speed of around 500th of a second, and then maybe play with around maybe a 10th, maybe even slower than that. I'm not quite sure. I need to see how I can meter it properly first to see what I can get. But I'm quite excited. It's a cool shot, and it's something that I've always wanted, well, I say always, I've wanted to get for a little while. Now, I've shot this image before on Kodak Gold 200, and I think I do prefer the Kodak Gold 200 version purely because it's brighter and I prefer the colour scheme throughout the image as a whole. But I do also really like the shot. The atmosphere between the two images are so very different, and they'd be used in two very, very different contexts. I do still like the image. I really like the composition. As before, I shot it from the right side. This time I shot it from the left, and as I said, I'm a big fan of the composition. I like the colours with the bright red on the side, contrasting the more natural colours in the background with the blues and the greens, and I do like the fact that it's quite a big juxtaposition, that it's got a no swimming sign with this lovely pool of water in the back, and I'm sure it's best not to go swimming in there because it's from down in the mines, so it's just not great to be anywhere near the water, let alone in it. Just on my way back, and as I was coming across the path, horses and everything, car back that way, I looked over and I saw a danger stay outside. I'm hoping you saw that. I didn't actually see, and it's really quite cool, quite interesting. The red contrasts it really well. There's quite a nice strong highlight coming from the top right and across and down, which for the bush in front of it is making a really nice shadow. So I might take two shots, one from the right side, one from the left side, because I can't quite decide which one I like the most. Maybe even one in the centre. It's quite cool. I really like the way it contrasts it. So I guess you'll see the pictures in a minute, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Two images at the very beginning of the video, I do prefer the landscape shot. Somehow I absolutely butchered the exposure on the portrait shot. I did everything my meter told me, but the lighting must have just changed as I did the shot, because the lighting and the actual settings that I used for the camera was very, very similar, if not, I think maybe one or two cranks of the shutter here and there, and it turned out completely different. So I'm very happy with the landscape shot. I think actually I prefer the composition a little bit more, purely because the sign is off kind of on a third. It wasn't deliberately shot that way. I was really aiming to get that really dramatic shadow down through the middle just by the bush up below it. So having that rule of third with a dramatic shadow in the middle I think is really nice, and again it's another piece of colour contrast that has worked out really well in this video. And for the final shot of the day, I completely forgot the reason I actually came up here was for the old Dartmoor stone crosses. I think you can see it. Yeah, you can, just there. And something that I think is really cool, I photographed it a couple of times. I photographed it when I actually first started my film journey. Oh, I hope you can hear me. I first started my film journey, and I shot it on expired medium format Portra 160, the stuff that was gifted to me, and I was very, very happy with the results. So I'm hoping that the results from this shot is going to be just as good, if not better. I don't know if I'll be able to beat it because it was snowy up here, it was bright blue skies, and that shot was one of my favourite shots I think I've ever taken. And it was really cool as well because the way that film had been stored for a while, it hadn't been touched since 2017. So the backing paper had all the numbers kind of imprinted on the images just because they left it in warm conditions. So yeah, that was really cool. So hopefully this shot turns out just as nice. And the final image of the day, I'm extremely happy with how this image came out. Deliberately this time I tried to use a rule of third, but off to the left side. I have a habit of when I use rule of thirds to put things on the right, so I deliberately put it on the left for the stone cross, and I was hoping that a couple more horses would walk along, and I was waiting there for a really long time waiting for these horses to come across, but I eventually just shot the shot and I'm still happy with how it came out. I have actually now shot this image in the summertime and in the winter time. I just need spring and autumn. I don't know why, I'm just fascinated by these stone crosses, and I think they're a really cool addition to any Dartmoor imagery. Now I'm actually truly impressed with how this roll of Truprint came out. I had very different expectations for how the shots were coming out, considering the previous roll I had came out very purpley and pink in the colours, and this time it held up pretty normal. There wasn't really any variation in dramatic changes in colour or lighting, so I'm very happy with how the shots came out. And I do have a top 3, and those images are the pastely looking tree image, the flower shot, and finally the stone cross. And let me know what your favourites are in the comments below, and I will be posting these images on my Instagram, and it is the same as the YouTube handle, and that is @GrenneyCreates. And if you've enjoyed the video, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. They're 2 clicks of a button and they're both free, and it helps the channel out so much, and it lets me know that you guys are also enjoying the videos. And finally, to make this video I have graded it with Dehancer, and it is an amazing colour grading plugin, and if you are interested, use code Grenney in all capitals to save yourself 10% off on your purchases, and once again it helps the channel so much. And finally, I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you on the next one.